when this golf brotherhood kind of loses one of our own, especially, a guy in the prime of his life who had turned. It's tragic in any context, but this one especially so, just because it felt like he had turned that corner. And I guess the lesson is you never know when someone's turned the corner, and you never know, they never stop needing support. And it sounds simple, but being nice to somebody is sometimes the most powerful thing you can do.
Fore-play presented by Barstool Sports. We got the entire squadron back, coming off a long weekend, Memorial Day weekend. Kind of summer has now officially begun. Pools open last weekend. The whole deal. We got a lot to talk about in the show. We got huge videos coming out this week. Frankie from the Forward Tees. We got another Breaking 90 episode from Rain Dance, which is an iconic place and an iconic video. We got to start with the Grayson Murray news. Obviously, this is our first show that we've done since that happened. One of the more stunning, shocking kind of moments as a golf fan when you woke up to that on Saturday morning. Personally, I didn't really know Grayson Murray. There's a lot of guys out there that we know, that we interact with, that we're in the same orbit with. Played in the tournament, withdrew. I think he shot 68 on Thursday, withdrew due to illness on Friday, and then obviously woke up to the news that he had passed away Saturday. This is a show, obviously, where we try to make people laugh. I don't know that we're necessarily the guys that people turn to when it comes to trying to digest the whole thing. The Harry Higgs reaction, I was unbelievably impressed by when he won on the Corn Ferry Tour. He had clearly critically thought about the night before what he was going to say. The things that he did say were amazing. I thought Peter Malnati being put on the spot. He had played with Grayson Murray. Amazing. Bunch of the stories coming out about Grayson Murray, all the way down to somebody was tweeting out that he had bought one of their followers a car and never asked for anything from it. So, wow, horrible news, about as bad as it gets. I think everybody kind of fights their own fight. I think it's really difficult to wake up every day and just be happy on a normal basis. And it just kind of, I don't know, it really reminds you to think about perspective, to try to cherish every moment. And if you're struggling at all, try to get help. Again, I don't know that we're the most profound guys to talk about that, but very, very somber thing in the world of golf. He seems like a very misunderstood guy who people are now coming out praising, putting out, stories, videos, all that stuff about their time with him and how nice and generous of a guy he was. So yeah, incredibly somber stuff. Obviously we have to talk about it, and everything goes out, thoughts go out to his family, his friends, and it's very, very difficult thing to talk about, I would say.
Yeah, and I think the timing of it was especially tragic because I knew Grayson a little bit. He had really turned his life around. He was in, or at least it seemed, he was in a really, really horrible place a couple of years ago, struggling mightily with alcoholism, with depression. But he'd put a lot of work in on himself. And I remember after he won the Sony Open earlier this year, which was just earlier this year, which is it's so hard to swallow. But he wins the tournament this year. I was rewatching the press conference after he won, and he was just talking about the depths and how it's so important to be kind to people because you never know what's going on behind closed doors or in their mind, because social media is not real life, and these are people on the other end of it, and he was kind of a face for forgiveness and for a second chance, and it felt like he had a second chance on life, and he was running with it. I'd seen him as recently as I think the Players Championship, and he seemed to be in great spirits. He was a changed man, and it's just triply tragic the way it all played out. And my phone started blowing up because golf is a small little community. At the end of the day, and we all kind of go to the same places, and we all kind of know the same people. And when something like this happens, it just shakes everyone to their core. My phone was blowing up about everybody, whether you knew him or not. It's just when this golf brotherhood kind of loses one of our own, especially, a guy in the prime of his life who had turned. It's tragic in any context, but this one especially so, just because it felt like he had turned that corner. And I guess the lesson is you never know when someone's turned the corner, and you never know, they never stop needing support. And it sounds simple, but being nice to somebody is sometimes the most powerful thing you can do.
Yeah, he sort of jumped on my radar at least years ago. He was a bit of a polarizing figure on social media, and then that kind of went away, and I didn't follow him. I wasn't following his career all that closely. And then, yeah, he won a couple of tournaments. It seemed like things were, sort of going his way, maybe turn the corner, like you said, Dan. Yeah, and then you get the news on Saturday. It was tough. 30 years old is so young, and that it's like it like takes your breath away. That's how young that is. Like you've got 50 years left. You just got a lot of time. So it's sad to see. Clearly, something happened. It took a darker turn, and then he just made a decision. That's unfortunate, and it's so sad. 30. I kept looking at 30 years old, and it's just like, fuck, man.
Frankie's
I'm 5 years
30,
older than that, and I
Frankie's
got a
30,
million
I'm
years
turning
left.
30 later this year. Like
it's
he's
wild.
one of us.
30 years is tough. It's never good, never ever. But 30 with that hit me like a ton of bricks.
Yeah, and it's like, and I feel like everyone keeps saying like you got to be nice to someone. You got to, and it's. I feel like that's almost implying that like he didn't have a support group, and I feel like that's tough on those people that were around him because you don't know what someone's gonna do, right? Like everyone's like, what about his caddy? He was with him all day, and what about the guys that he was playing with? They were with him all day.
You can't
They
put
didn't
that
see
on
that he was
those
gonna
people.
go home and do this. It's like, dude, the guy had a support system. I mean, he had a family. You saw what they wrote. Like this guy had people in his life that cared deeply about him, and he was just a troubled soul. And it's just unfortunate that happens. And there are people that are out there. We advertise these types of companies on our own show that like sometimes that support group that you think is there for you, like they might not know how to react or get in there and really, peel away all the layers to like see what the root of the problem is and like where you can go and certain things that you can do to help yourself. And he may have not had that, right? Like there's a reason why it got to this point. And there's a reason why he couldn't be saved in the end. And that's the most unfortunate news that you could possibly ever hear. It's fucking devastating, like hauntingly devastating watching him walk off the green during a professional golf tournament, the thing that we watch and cover
With 2 holes left.
With 2 holes left, like misses a putt, picks up his ball and just walks off. And it's the last you've ever seen from him. Like that's not good. That's not good for anyone.
The family's like, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. That's a nightmare.
Yeah. You're watching your son like play professional golf on TV and you're like, there he is. He's putting up. He missed a putt and he walks off. They cut to the next golfer that hits a golf shot into a fucking, a wedge into a green. And then your son's just like dead the next morning.
To be clear, I think like the Higgs message, which I thought was great as well. I think he's just talking about in general, like just be nicer to people. He's not. Yeah. I think that was sort of the overall message where it's like, you just don't know. Like, and I know what you're saying too, Frankie, but I think Higgs is being like, just the least you can do to society is just not be a shitty person to other people and make 100%. Their lives worse. Because you don't know. You have no idea what's going on. But I understand what you're saying in this specific.
Some people are so troubled that like they, Robin Williams was like the biggest comedic actor of all time, right? Like he's like smiling, never not smiling, making movies that make people laugh and smile. And he was like the most troubled, tortured soul of all time, right? Like no one could have been nicer to that man. I'm assuming when walking to him on the passing him on the street. So there's, I guess it's more of me saying like, even like, the people that are out there that might be listening to this or whatever, it's like that you have to somehow like go out and get the real help. There's got to be something like there's a reason why that's a billion-dollar industry, right? Like therapy's a thing, and then they're advertising on podcasts, and it's not fake. There's no reason that would be fake, and like it saves people's lives. So it's just fucking I really can't wrap my head around that whole thing. Like it just makes me like sick and sad, and it's like you're doing it to yourself. It's like holy shit, man. If there was just someone in that moment that was just right there, it's like fuck.
Yeah, I echo everybody's sentiment. I think Trent, I'm with you. When I saw 30, just because he had clearly lived a hard life with demons, and I felt like the amount of times we had kind of seen him pop up and then kind of disappear for a little bit on social, clearly trying to get help. I thought he was closer to 35 or something. To see 30 years old and a guy who won the Sony Open this year, which is a big ass tournament, to be like, clearly how talented was that guy that with all those demons going on, he's still able to win a couple times in the PGA Tour. He won this year on the PGA Tour. He shot a good round at a very, very difficult golf course, when clearly he was not in a good spot. And I was doing a little bit of just reading through, and I think a 2014, a big amateur tournament, he was leading the tournament and he just walked away from the tournament. So to Frankie's point, that's an incredibly troubled soul. And I guess the message that I would try to convey from all of that is that if anybody out there who's struggling with anything, it's incredibly important to talk to people. And I think the Harry Higgs message was from the other side of it, just in general, because that, you know, if you're walking down the street by somebody or you're interacting, going in and out of the door at the coffee shop, you know, just saying something nice and having a nice, cheerful little conversation or interaction with that person might be the difference, because you don't know what the fuck that person's going through. You don't know how bad they think that things are in that moment, because they may be a troubled soul. And it could be the difference of, you know, them feeling good about themselves and going in a different direction that day versus kind of a horrible scenario. And you never know. And again, on the other side of that, it is just, it's heartbreaking to see all of the outpouring of support and incredibly positive comments after the fact, and after it's already had, you know, the worst tragic kind of end that it could have. And it makes me, you know, think that anybody and feel anybody who's kind of going through something similar like that, man, like, to talk to people and understand that you have an incredible support system. Everybody's got, you know, they've got parents, family, brothers, sisters, friends, even coworkers, acquaintances, whomever that love you, that care a lot about you, that want to see you, you know, do good things. And they have a ton of memories about, you know, sitting around and laughing and enjoying life together. And so I think it's really important for people to just kind of remember that and understand that. And if you are going through stuff, it's really important to get that help, to talk to people, because I think that can really help kind of remind folks that everyone on this earth is just human. I think that was Peter Malnati and Scottie were talking a lot about that, of just, we're all just kind of people trying to figure this thing out day in and day out. And it's important to reach out to other folks, talk to other folks, because you'll kind of be reminded that everybody's struggling to some degree, and it's kind of getting through it together is what's going to make the difference. So it was really heartbreaking, man. It's devastating. It puts a lot into perspective. And I at least kind of was happy to see that the outpouring of support and positive comments and stories and anecdotes from people that knew him were able to come out, and that I think a lot of kind of his legacy will be remembered by, you know, holy shit, man, all these people had incredible experiences and relationships with him throughout their years. As tragically as it ended, it's important to kind of remember that, I think.
Yeah,
Totally.
I love that his, you know, I think his family handled it about as well as you possibly can in that bad of a scenario. I think coming out within 24 hours of a statement that was about as quality of a statement as a family could possibly put out. You know, they said basically, you know, he obviously would want the tournament to go on, because these guys that are his, you know, that are his colleagues out there, that are his peers, are playing in a golf tournament that's really difficult. And they kind of, I thought that was really important for them to kind of put everybody else almost in a comfortable, as comfortable as you could be in that situation place, and say, no, he would want this tournament to go on. They played the golf tournament, and Davis Riley gets the win, goes up against Scottie. It feels a little bit ridiculous to talk about all of that in the kind of context of everything, but Scottie Scheffler, you know, right there again. It's a little bit interesting with his game, just because he was so unflappable, and then he goes out, plays this golf course that was absolutely dominating people. I don't know that I've ever really seen kind of a contrast. Like the PGA Championship a week ago was unbelievably easy for a major championship, and then you come out and everybody's over par on Thursday in the tournament, it felt like, and throughout the weekend. So watching golf again in the context of everything was a little bit bizarre. It was somber, but it is a golf tournament, went on. They're playing for millions of dollars. Scottie Scheffler remains. He finished T2 despite the fact that it looked like he wasn't playing that well. And, you know, that's kind of all I could really say from the golf tournament with the context of everything going on.
Yeah, dude, it's a second week in a row too, man. I mean, you know, we had the John Mills who passed away last week. It was just, you know, 2 weeks in a row the golf tournament is marred by stuff that's going on off the course. It's emotionally draining for sure.
The show is presented by Chevy, baby. Chevrolet, the bow tie iconic. Golf season is in full swing. Chevy wants to help you make the most of every drive. We're talking about the all-electric Blazer EVs, bold design, dynamic performance, making it the perfect electric vehicle to get you to the course in style and comfort. Blazer, all-electric, has earned the prestigious honor of being named Motor Trend's 2024 SUV of the year. This thing is awesome, gentlemen.
Me and Brendan had a Blazer in Colorado while we were out there. It was our car. We threw all of his camera equipment in there. We threw my golf clubs in there. We had Frankie one of the days. We threw his golf clubs in there. If you're just on the go and you're packing things in there, you got golf buddies, you're getting out there, and you're going to be the car that's driving. If you got a Blazer, you're going to be more than fine. These things are beautiful. They got tons of space, and they're just really nice, man. They're just really, really nice cars.
Yeah, they're phenomenal, the Blazer EV, and guess what? Motor Trend agrees. And they judged everything. Big, small, gas, hybrid, electric vehicle, luxury SUVs. Blazer EV beat them all with Blazer EV's unique styling, comfort-driven interior, incredibly smooth ride, and responsive handling. Chevy has teed up the perfect electric vehicle to help you get anywhere you want to be. Head on over to Chevy.com/Blazer EV to check out lease offers and amazing deals. That is Chevy.com/Blazer EV. Chevrolet, together, let's drive.
Scottie, like, I can't even imagine. He's got, that plus his own situation going on. Like, this is just, it's been a really heavy couple of weeks.
What's the update on his situation? Are they're just going to go to trial?
I mean, I guess they could still, alter the charges or drop the charges before the sort of June 3rd arraignment. But, we all saw the video that came out on Friday.
Insane.
I cannot believe that they're still pursuing this. First of all, when they said they were releasing video, because I heard the day before they were releasing some new video, you just assumed that it was going to be like, supportive of the officer, right? Of like what he said. Because why else would they release a video if they're going to continue pursuing this? That's not. And unless there was some crazy situation that happened behind that bus that you can't see in the beginning of the video, that would have been completely different than what happened 5 seconds later. It seems like complete bullshit.
Yeah, it seems unlikely that like, it seems like the first point of contact that they have is the police officer running up onto Scottie's truck or whatever. And it seems like that was it. Like, I was waiting for Scottie to drive away aggressively and to be dragging the police officer, which I think is what was in the police report to a degree. And it just never happened. It's very strange. I don't know what they're going to do going forward with this, because it seems like a big nothing burger, but they've got the number one golfer in the world who has an arraignment in like a week. I don't know what they want to do with this, but it seems like a disaster for that police department.
Yeah, unless something happened like to get Scottie to that point, like Dan's saying. I don't know. Like, that video kind of ends like where he's going into Valhalla. I mean,
yeah,
maybe something happens on the street where he drags him a little bit, and then that guy comes running in, sprinting and being like, "You just fucking did that to me." And he tries to like break the window. He tried to break the window. If that happened, then like obviously go to trial, have your conversation. Maybe there's more video. But if the video's the video and that's the altercation and that's the incident, I mean, I'm very supportive of the police. All my family are police, all my friends. That's just a mall cop hardo right there. That's a guy that has no fucking clue what he's doing. And I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of fake news out there, and they're stating like all the things that this guy has done in his career, and the picture of him's hilarious, and it looks like he's always getting in trouble. This police officer, he's just like constantly in that pose, like getting yelled at, or he's on trial for something. You got to get rid of this guy, and you got to get rid of him now. I mean, he's just had no clue what was going on, and you can't have people of authority in those situations not knowing what's going on. I mean, there were too many excuses made for this guy at this point. Like, he didn't know golf. He didn't know. It's like, I don't know what the fuck he knew, but he just can't be doing that
also,
to anybody.
The body cam would have gone a long way here.
I know,
yeah. He didn't turn on the body cam.
I thought that would be like enough to throw it out there. If you don't have your body cam on, like, what are we talking about?
It's crazy.
Required?
It's crazy. The guy, I mean, I think he worked at like Walmart, like when he was like, was that a true fact?
Yeah, he did some like extra security gigs. My whole thing was, it was literally in the drive. If he just goes, yeah, go ahead. Like, the whole thing's just so nothing happened.
Yeah, he tried to break the window, and then he tried to pull Scottie out of the window aggressively. He tried to grab him.
It wasn't even a go ahead. It was like he could have just turned his neck to the left and been
not said anything.
Yep, that guy could just keep driving, and then none of this would have ever happened. And then he chased the car down. It looked like, and again, there could be something before that, but it looked legit like he saw a car that was like breaking a tackle, and he was trying to save a touchdown, and he like chased the car down and jumped on it. It was insane. I don't know where that came from. The fact he didn't have the body camera on, and look, there's just bad apples in every batch. We love the police out here. We're hanging out with the Louisville police the day before and posting on our Instagram stories. Those guys were the nicest guys ever. And maybe this guy isn't that bad of an apple. We don't have all the information, but from what's available in that video, I cannot believe they put that video out. Or I guess if they maybe they just had to by the law, but now it feels like they're trying to like stand by their guy. It seems so simple to just put something out being like it was a hectic situation, just like Scottie Scheffler said, based on all the evidence at hand. We're not going to pursue these charges. Otherwise, I mean, they have to have something more than that. Otherwise, why would they pursue the charge? Like, they're just going to look ridiculous. They were in the news last week for battery. They're trending on Twitter, Louisville PD, and it's not they're trending because like they're getting all this recognition for defending the law. They're like trending because everyone's like, what the fuck is going on with the LPD over there? So I can't believe you're still pursuing it. That video made it
$80
10
pants.
times worse, I feel like. The $80 pants.
Can't believe they put the price of the pants on the police report. That guy, he got back to the station. He's like, he ruined my $80 pants. I got to put that on there. Listen, like I said, there might be, because that's not the only time Scottie was driving the vehicle. I mean, that was the end of the video. He had been driving from his house all the way there. So something could have happened for sure. Right. I mean, we see like 7 feet of his driving, his driving route. So maybe something did happen, because that guy came running like a fucking lunatic.
Right, but I think what it does show though is that like in my head when the officer was describing the interaction, it was like Scottie was trying to like run away from the police. He was trying to like break free and be like, I'm Scottie Scheffler.
But I'm saying like maybe that had already happened, and then the guy trying to break through his window was the final.
That would explain the cops' energy towards Scottie, because if it didn't happen before that, then the guy is just a lunatic. But if something did happen, and we'll never know because we just have one poll camera, no body cam. We just have the one video where it seems like the cop is going crazy for no reason.
And it's crazy. It's true. If something did happen before that, then like it's the police officer's job is it to be like, oh, that guy broke the law, but let's just let him go here so there's not an incident. Like the guy's, you have to hold somebody accountable. That's the whole point. So if something did occur before that, and maybe there's some justification, but as it appears, it was like Scottie was just going slowly entering the golf course where he's the number one player in the world and the favorite to win the event. And the guy just charges after his car and puts him in handcuffs. Next thing you know, he's all over the news in an orange jumpsuit with his mugshot. So pretty fucking crazy. Who the hell knows how that's going to pan out? Clearly, it's affecting Scottie Scheffler, I would say. Like, I don't know what other conclusion you can come up to other than, Saturday, he just did not have a great round. He said it affected him this past week. I imagine with everything going on that it's just been a lot for him. And still with that, he finishes tied for second place at a very difficult golf course. This golf course, Colonial, had gone through a complete renovation. Colonial is iconic. They've been hosting events there forever and ever, and it really held up. I mean, it kind of dusted these guys. I saw our boy Kevin Kisner. I felt that he was 2 under going into the final round. He needs a good finish. I think he shot 9 over or something on Sunday, and he wasn't alone. I mean, people were posting. If people were off a little bit, they were posting high-ass numbers, which you just don't see on the PGA Tour that often. So I thought Colonial, we like to see a tough show. We root for the golf course pretty frequently. So
yeah, the fairways definitely needed some work. They're not fully grown in yet, but that's to be expected with a new. I saw some screenshots of but they mostly were not in play. Were the areas where it was kind of patchy. And it was nice to see a Gil Hanse renovation make the course like maybe harder, because we've seen with LACC a lot of people were complaining they made it easier. They took out a bunch of trees. What Gil kind of normally always does, restored it to its original design at Colonial. And I think a golf course more exposed in Texas with all that wind, if it gets windy up there, it's just going to kill those guys. And that's what happened. It was fun to watch. It was weird watching, because despite Rory the week before torching Quail Hollow, played pretty hard. Like most of the score, I think there were only 2 guys who were double digits under par. It was like the 2 tournaments that sandwiched the major were just way more difficult than the major, which is a little bizarre.
Yeah, it is a little bit
Wind
bizarre.
is a motherfucker.
It is, dude.
Wind is
That's
a motherfucker,
really
man. And I know Justin Thomas at one time was like, oh, if it's not windy and it's soft, like we could all shoot 62 out here. But if it's the opposite, then, there's no telling who can win this tournament. Yeah, it's really, really, I mean, we can get into like the rounds that we all played. I know that we went out and did Breaking 90. We had a Barstool Classic out here in Colorado. Wind just really affects what you're doing. It's just something that you're not used to. You hit balls, you pound balls at the driving range, you putt around on the putting green, and then you go out to play a round of golf and it's like you're in a hurricane. It's not easy. It's not an easy game. It's something that like I don't even know how you practice for that. How do these pros even practice? Like, how do they know how much their ball moves in like a 30-mile-an-hour left to right wind? Like, how is that something that you can judge?
You almost have to grow up in an area that has wind. That's what everybody says. Like, you grow up in Scotland, you grow up across the pond. They're like, oh, this guy knows how to play in wind because he grew up around it. But I'm with you. If you don't grow up in Scotland or Texas or one of these places, once you go out there just to like play a casual round and it's windy, it's like, This sport is impossible. It's an impossible sport to play when it's windy.
It is like if you look at Tom Watson and the way that he played golf with a relatively like low ball flight and he's won 5 British Opens and almost won one at age fucking 60, basically. It's like, oh, that really does matter over time. And you look at like Rory's wins and everybody talks about like when he won the US Open by a million shots, it was like unbelievably soft with like no wind. He hits the ball a mile in the air. And when it's crazy windy, he's really not Rory McIlroy most often the way that he is. And it's like, it really does make a huge difference. I think you're right, Trent. Like, I don't know, guys that are like Texas born, like the Ben Crenshaws and whatnot, when it's windy, I think they fucking love it. They live for it. And man, when it is, if you're not a wind player, you just get dusted by the wind. Like, you just absolutely do. There's not much you can do about it. You can't get comfortable. It feels like it affects like you can feel it pulling your club when you like take the club back. You're uncomfortable on how it's going to, it magnifies any spin that you put on it. So if you hit this fucking little left to right dick slap shot out there off the tee and it's into a severe wind off the left, like instead of missing by 15 yards, you miss by 50, and you're just like, fuck me, man. So
yeah, it's Tiger. Tiger always said, your shot has to have integrity in the wind. You need some integrity.
Oh,
I got no integrity in the wind.
Zero. Limp dick fucking shots going into these greens, and they're just getting bitch slapped by any sort of little puff of the air. That's what mine was doing at Colorado Golf Club.
Did you know that you can get tickets? I'm going to be obviously in Arizona here next week. Luke Combs coming to Arizona on, let's see, May 31st. Tickets for just $64. On June 1st, which is a Saturday night, Luke Combs, $115. Game Time, baby. We are talking Game Time. That's right. Game Time is the official ticketing partner of Barstool Sports. Finding tickets for less has never been easier. Shouldn't have to worry when you buy tickets to your next big event. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets to all the sports, the music, the comedy, the theater events near you. We love going to events.
Tyler Childers. He is playing MSG this week, the 28th and the 29th of May. I'm going one of the nights. Shout out to Game Time. I cannot wait. I'm looking at it right now. $47 if you want to go see Tyler Childers at Madison Square Garden. Tyler Childers is one of my favorite artists in the world, and I think a lot of people would agree with that. They love this guy, and if you're in the New York City area, go see him. $47 on the 28th, $44 on the 29th.
It's going to cost you more in the Uber to get there than to go to the
100%. So go see this guy, and also there's tons of sporting events going on. Baseball's in full swing. Use Game Time. They're the best.
You might see Trent Ryan out there, too. Game Time is the best place for last-minute seats with up to 60% off your favorite events. What are you waiting for? Go check out Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Create an account. Use the code FORE, F-O-R-E, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download the Game Time app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
I played with a stranger.
Yeah, how was it?
His name was Alex Jones, and I thought maybe he'd be the Alex Jones that goes crazy on InfoWars, but it wasn't. He was the nicest man of all time, like baseball player from Nebraska, living out in Colorado, engineer, like just the nicest, quite literally one of the nicest men I've ever met in my entire life. Hosted me, my family. We had a fivesome out there. It was like they just couldn't have been more accommodating. Just an all-time golf course. The clubhouse is one of those clubhouses where it's like you walk in, super, super like oaky feel. Everything's dark brown wood, and then like the bar is right in the middle of like where you're getting change, and like the bathrooms all like everything's right there. They have a little round table that like we were drinking these beers, and they're like Coors makes them. And I can't remember the name of them now. It had like the name of something, like
Coors Light,
like a person's
Coors
name,
Light.
right? And it wasn't any core. And it's really hard to find, right? One of the guys I was with, one of my cousins, was like, my dad used to drink these. It was like one of those impossible beers to find. And like, yeah, we got those. And we looked over. He goes, yeah. And JJ, my cousin, was like, yeah, oh, this is a Coors beer. And the guy goes, yeah. Coors' son is sitting in the next room, and he was like sipping on a banquet. It's just like, it was the most Colorado thing I've ever seen in my entire life. You know, like John Coors, I don't know what his first name was sitting there drinking a Coors beer inside the Colorado Golf Club. It's like, well, we're just doing the whole thing. It'd be like, you know, I don't even know what it would be. It'd be like seeing
Coors
George
is an
Steinbrenner
iconic
walk at the
last
Yankee
name.
Stadium. Yeah, it's just crazy. And And so had a great day. The driving range is just overlooking all the mountains, and they're all right, just aim at Pikes Peak. My caddy was oh my God, it was Colin, right?
Corey.
You know him, right? Corey.
Oh,
Corey.
Sorry. Corey is Alistair Docherty's roommate for the last 5 years. And that was just a bizarre coincidence. He had known Riggs for a while, and he was just the nicest caddy of all time, rooting on the whole entire crew. But to bring it all back to the wind, you're playing this golf course, and it's super difficult, right? It's there's split fairways, and you have to really pick your spots, and there's a lot of blind shots, and you're listening to the caddy and Alex, and you're just hitting shots, and they're right over this mound at that peak of the mountain, bring it back in. And when in the beginning, the first 3 holes, I went par, and then the third hole is this really difficult split fairway where it's you only have 260 down to the end of the fairway, and then you have to hit a 160-yard shot into a Redan type green, and it's all right, the pin's on a freaking knob where the front just rips off into a bunker and into this pit, and then the back rips way off 35 feet off the green. So you're I have to sit this thing right down. I hit a check down 9-iron because the wind started to come in, and it was a little draw, lands on the front, bounces up to the green with forward spin, bounces up to the pin with forward spin, sits to 3 feet. I birdie it, and I look at Alex. I go, "What's the fucking course record out here? Because I'm making this place my bitch right now." I was walking around like Tiger, I was holding my putter, walking down from 180 yards, kind of just spinning it, letting the carts go up to the green. I'm walking to the green. And then I went 8 over the next 3 holes. You know what I mean? The wind in the face changes everything. 4th hole, you step up, 560 par 5 into the teeth, they're calling it. I'm what do we do here? You hit a flary one out left. You're 400 yards away in your second shot. You're in the rough. You chunk one. You miss the green. You make a 7. You're I hate this game. This game stinks. This golf course stinks. Everything just changes about your day. And we talk about this all the time. It's hard to take away your personal experience of playing to not have that impact how you like a golf course.
Impossible.
I think that takes a very strong-minded, very mature person. I tried to do it the best I could. I mean, I shot an 87 out there. I wasn't very happy with it because I've been playing a lot better golf than that. I lost every single way to Alex Jones. I was pressing him. I lost every way to him. You couldn't have lost a golf match more. I think I lost 9 ways to this guy. And I still loved it though. Beautiful, iconic. The stories of this place. They had a Solheim Cup there. They have all these amazing events. USAM. They said that when Bryson goes there, he's a member. The range is all the way up top on this hill, and then there's a hole. I think it might be the 10th hole that goes across behind dead tree area. It's a long range. And they said when Bryson's there, you'll just find Bridgestone balls all littered on the golf course. They're 425 yards away from the driving range, 430. He'll just launch Colorado.
I wonder if he's a member there
bombs.
because he just loves the altitude and he just loves just sending it.
I love that story though. He's dude, when
Pat
Bryson's
his
here, you
stats
see
a little
little BDs all over. It's a crazy moment when you're driving up this fairway and you see balls just littered all over the place because it's a long way.
Yeah, Corey texted me and he was out. We were going back. He's dude, I'm looping for Frankie today, and I was man, Frankie's been striping it. You might be able to go low out there. And he was it's really windy, and this course can be really hard in the wind. And then he texted me after, and he's he kind of got beat up in the wind. And to speak to the integrity of wind, and we'll get into Alistair, who's playing the Canadian Open this week in Toronto. I'm going to be up there, but the difference is so clear when you play with a truly good player when you see wind like that. If I'm playing a hole a little bit downwind and I hit a good drive, I can hit it out there 280, 290, and then we turn back into the wind and I'll hit a drive 195 yards. Whereas dude, you play with Alistair, I mean, he's carrying it 310 into the wind, no fucking problem. And when you watch these guys at the PGA even, or these tournaments where it's the majors and oh fuck, he's turning that holes back into the wind, that's going to be tough. And it's they'll hit one 319 into the wind that's all carry. And you realize that maybe that takes 10 or 20 or 30 yards off it, but there's not a huge difference when they hit it with that much integrity. Now, when these guys get crosswinds and the greens are fucking firm and they're off that day, you do start to see the carnage. And that quote from JT will always stand out to me of you can make a course that fucking Valhalla, dude, was 7,600 yards every hole that they came to. It felt like the par 4s were 490, and you're okay, 490, it's soft out, that's a really difficult hole. And they would just hit it 320 out there. Now they've got 170 in. For those guys, it's like a 9-iron. That's not a hard hole for them, especially if it's just soft out there. And it's like, well, fuck me. I would have to hit a career drive and then like a career 5 wood into the middle of the green, which I can't hold because even though they're soft for those players, too hard for us. That's if I played the hole amazing. So now you're just looking at like doubles all over the place, and they shot 20. It took 21 under to win that fucking golf tournament. So it's nuts how good they are.
Bryson on the 70th hole, I think, is a good example. He hits it way in the trees, and then once it kicks back in the fairway, you're like, oh, he's 220 out. Like, doesn't matter. He's hitting 8-iron, and it's pillow soft, and he hit it to legitimately 3 feet. Because when it's driving range, it's basically driving range golf for them. Like, they're going to hit perfect shots, like a good percentage of the time. And when you're taking out variables, if it just sticks where it lands, like it did at Valhalla, then you're going to have guys from 220 hitting it to 3 feet.
Yeah.
It's so hard in the wind. It's like if I'm coaching somebody up, like maybe we're in like in breaking 90 and I'm trying to hype up Trent or something, and there's a lot of wind, and I'll always say, don't affect your swing with this one. You're choosing that new club based off of the wind that is affecting the shot. So usually it'd be a 7-iron. We're taking a 5-iron and take the same swing. Don't let that wind affect you. There's a reason why we've changed this club. And then when you go and do that, you still fucking change the swing. For me, I couldn't get it out of my head. I need to start like playing in one of those, like, those indoor, like those indoor where you can like jump out of a plane, skydive. Yeah. I need to play
zero
golf
gravity?
in one of those. I need to like swings, like golf swings in those things where
that should be the next iteration of a driving range. Like if you're really top class, top of the world, you need a driving range that has wind.
Dude, remember?
Yes.
This is kind of what Bryson was saying years ago. Remember when he was like kind of bitching about golf courses all being like different? It was almost, he was like, they should just be a fucking grid basically where you like hit the ball as far and straight as you can and then hit it as close to the hole as you can. And he's like, yeah, that's how we would actually test who the best golfer is. All this other Mickey Mouse shit is crap. Like that's sort of what he was saying. He's like, dude, if we played golf in a fucking vacuum, I'd be unbeatable. But like we're out
play
here.
Play the U.S. Open in a 5-iron golf, and Bryson's fucking Jack Nicklaus.
That's right. That's what he was saying.
I actually don't hate that idea. Maybe one tournament a year, it's a grid. One tournament a year, it's a grid where it's literally everything is straight and everything. It's just about how far you can hit it and how close you can hit it. And I guess that is how we won the U.S. Open. But I'm talking just literally, it's just a grass. It's a driving range. It's a 5-iron. It's a Top Golf. Let's see how close these guys can get, and that is how you win a tournament. I do think Bryson would probably win that tournament.
I take Scottie any day on that.
Oh, true.
Yeah, I know.
Going back to Scottie real quick too, it's like, how good is Scottie getting that when he finishes in second, you're getting text messages in your group like, what the fuck's happened with Scottie? How is he won over par? This guy finished in second. He's still playing against professional golfers. Morikawa, like they were real guys in that field, and he's finishing in second, and everyone's wondering what's wrong with him. Second place. That's so hard to do.
He was minus 150 to finish top 5, and that just like cashed without really that much drama.
Dude, he was on DraftKings. He was at one point, he was 7 strokes back and was like plus 240 to win.
He was the co-favorite with Davis Riley after 2 rounds, despite being 7 back.
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
I was able to get him after round 1 at plus 125 to finish inside the top 10. And the guy, #DK partner. And the guy almost won the golf tournament. I mean, he shot 7 under on Saturday when no one was going under par throughout the entire week very often. So, yeah, and exactly to that point. I mean, we were sitting at the bar at the grill at Bogey Hills Country Club yesterday afternoon. People were looking up at the leaderboard. Scottie is legitimately in second place, and he's 1 or 2 over for the day. And everyone at the bar is like, dude, have you gotten any more insight on what's wrong with Scottie? Like, what? Like, dude, he's still going to win this golf tournament almost. So, yeah, he's that good. Clearly that good, where when he finishes second place, people were wondering what the hell he's doing out there. Big videos. We got some big videos coming up. We got to talk a little bit about Frankie. So you put out, I believe this video of you playing the front tees was a little bit of a question that you put out on Twitter a couple months ago of, how much better would my score be? Would it be that much better if I played the front tees? And we've now done it and are putting that video out.
Yeah, so the video comes out today. I'm not sure what time, Alex. Maybe you can get that by the time I'm done with this.
I think we're doing red tees Tuesday, breaking 90 Thursday.
Yeah, so that's coming out today. And we had a huge discussion about it on the podcast. I know a lot of people chimed in. Guys like Joel Damon said that I wouldn't be able to break 80. There was a lot of people going after Dan saying that, because he said that I'd shoot around even par. playing from the forward tees, and everyone was calling him a loser and an idiot and saying he doesn't know golf, he doesn't know ball.
Cuck is my favorite.
Cuck is the
shot
favorite
88
one.
in the queue.
But yeah, it was very, very fun. I'm playing decent golf, except for places in Colorado where the wind is insane and it's blowing my hat off every time I take a swing. But that video's coming out. It's fun to like be able to go out there now, and I feel like our videos were so like regimented into like travel series, and then you had to play a 4-man scramble. And now we're getting to the point where if we have a discussion or a debate, we can go out there and film. Our guys are getting so good. That was just me and Brendan out there, 1 camera, 1 drone. We filmed it in 2 hours. We played 18 holes in like an hour and 55 minutes at Colonial Springs. I have a bunch of data that would back up what I usually shoot at Colonial. Now, what am I going to shoot from the forward tees? So I think it's a good video. It's super just like very golf oriented. There's not many jokes in there. It's just shot. It's going to be very easy to consume. And hopefully people like that, because I think it should open up a lot more being able to go out and play on our own type deals. And we'll see if people respond to it. I don't know.
I'm very excited to see. I want to see what it, because in your head you do think, oh, I mean, because you've been playing so well, this guy's going to shoot an incredible score. But I mean, I'll be curious to see how many drivers do you use, what you're like around the greens, like that. I'm very interested to see all of that stuff.
It's funny because we had
changes
this
the game, changes the whole game
yesterday, like hanging about, because a bunch of the guys at this club had done this a couple weeks ago, where their whole group played from the forward tees, and to see the difference in score and then discuss why there either was or wasn't a big difference for players was great. And they're, like one of the guys was saying, he's like, he shot like about what he usually shoots from, a 1,500 yards closer or whatever. And he's like, well, I was thinking I would just get on every par 5 at 2. He's like, but the tee shots are way harder because it was so much more narrow and different where I was hitting the tee shot, that I'm hitting this tee shot on the par 5. It's going into the trees. I'm chipping out, and then I'm hitting into the green from the same spot I usually hit into the green. So he's like, guys, he's like, a lot of the holes you'd think were a lot different, and they just weren't. And then, so yeah, I'm excited to see how you did, because you've been playing great golf, and we've debated the fuck out of this, I feel like.
You don't realize the situations you get put in when you have like a 270 yard par 4 and you're like, do I just rip driver at this thing?
Right.
Or do I play a 7-iron and just play to the middle of the fairway? It's tough.
And then we've also got
it's a mental grind.
We've got the old Breaking 90 coming back from Rain Dance. We got to talk about Rain Dance National, this new spot out in Colorado, Windsor, Colorado. We had the Barstool Classic there Friday. You guys were out there all day filming Breaking 90 on Thursday. Wild property. It's in the plains that lead right up to the Rocky Mountains, just outside of Denver. It's about an hour north of the Denver airport. And they've got all of this land. They've done it in a way in terms of they built the golf course. It opened a couple of years ago. I think this June or July, it'll be the 2-year anniversary of the course opening. They've been building out this infrastructure from the massive bar, clubhouse, pro shop. All of that is wildly unique. They've got like a ski slope that they've built out where they're pumping in snow, and they've got a huge like tube, wild stuff going on. And then the golf course is magnificent. You're looking at the mountains the whole time. The time of year that we were there, the snow has not melted yet from the top of the mountains. So you're kind of looking at this stunning view the entire time. Windy out there on the plains, and just a wildly cool new spot. They got a huge putting green that's got lights on it. So people are out there, part of it. I think he said the GM or the director of golf was telling me, Ed was telling me that they can do up to 6 holes, I think, of like a short course where every hole is 40 to 60 yards. It's almost like they got their mini version of the Cradle right there. Phenomenal facility. And Breaking 90, Trent's attempt, he's been incredibly close many times. Tillery's back in the mix. Trent visited him recently. And now here we are going to a really cool, iconic new spot, trying to do the thing.
Yeah, I'm excited for people to watch it. I am excited for them just to see the golf course. Like, that place fired me up. The drone shots are going to be crazy. I know at times Frankie was saying it reminded him of Torrey Pines. They've got these ravines all over the place, but then you've also got the mountains. It was a bit windy when we were playing as well. But Breaking 90 coming out Thursday. Again, if I do it, the series is over. If I don't do it, we're going to keep doing it. So that's the pitch every time we talk about it. It's a hard series to promote because it's like, if I do it, it's over. If I don't, it's not. But yeah, Rain Dance National is a place that I want people to see, and I'm excited for them to see it. The sell on it, the headlines are like, it's the longest golf course in North America. That's what everybody says, and it is. But when you get there, there's so much more to it. The clubhouse is unlike anything you've ever seen before. The bar is so nice. The slope, like you mentioned, Riggs, and the people there are just the nicest people in the world. So it's a young golf course, but I'm excited for people to see it because I think once they see it, they're going to be like, oh, let's go to Rain Dance National. It's just outside of Denver.
I think so many people are going to screenshot the first or screen record the first minute or so of Breaking 90 and send it into their golf group chat and say, how the fuck are we not booking a golf trip to this place? What they've done with the clubhouse and restaurant, the farm equipment and the silos, he made this whole entire place look like a farm industrial area, like you're in the middle of the plains working on the crops, and you just can't believe the bathrooms are these huge like John Deere hay like holders, and you walk inside them and they are immaculately done bathrooms. They gave us a tour of the whole place. Like they walked us into the women's one, and I'm like, all right, like this looks like a shed. And then you walk in and there were chandeliers and there was black and white tile, like you were in a New York City skyrise, bathroom. It was unbelievable. You never see anything like it. The men's bathroom, you're pissing into pots, and then it's like drain the radiator, and you like pull this like radiator chain and everything drains out. They thought about everything. The driving range has old tractors that look like they just died out there and the wind hits them and they have like hay up against them. And they have they brought in these 4 dead trees to make it look like it was just like a junkyard of old dead tractors. It was cool. It's a really cool.
Golf course has that too, where it's like you can't be right or left of these tractors, like on certain holes. It's the whole thing aesthetically is unbelievable.
I know, like we talk a lot about, you could really get a feel for if we're doing stuff right at certain events. If people pull their phone out a lot, I will say Papa Riggs was blowing up the family group chat with pictures from Rain Dance National. He was walking around that place. There's like John Deere's all over the place. He's just sending picture after picture to the group chat being like, look at this fucking place. Like he couldn't believe it. He loved it.
And we're jacked up about this place because we were there for 2 days and it honestly stunned us. Like great Barstool Classic venue, great place to be able to hang. We were there for so long, being able to we had lunch there, we had dinner there, and it's just we go to a lot of places and it feels like they're all well known. You go to the big resorts, you go to these like nationally known golf courses, and then you get to this place that just opened up 2 years ago. It took them 10 years to build and finance the whole entire deal, and now it's up and running, and not that many people know about it. And it's just, I've even talked to people I've been in Colorado for a week, and I'll be here for a week and a half. I've talked to so many people, and they're like, I heard about it, but I don't really know. It's only 40 minutes from where I am. I'm like, you got to go fucking up there, man. You got to get to Windsor and play this place. It's ridiculous.
Golf season has officially arrived. The long weekend, Memorial Day weekend, is over. That means we're here. It's golf season. That's why we're here to tell you about the new lineup of performance polos from our great friends at Peter Millar. This season, we are huge fans of their Kelly and Hogan hard collar polos. These shirts, these polos are inspired by vintage golf polos and feature classic design touches, which are back in, by the way. Those are back in, like a 4-button placket in their signature performance fabrications, performance benefits like 4-way stretch, moisture wicking, and UPF, which is a big thing for me. Sun protection will have you playing your best, while new seasonal designs will ensure you play your next round in style. We love these Kelly and Hogan hard collar polos.
Yeah, no, I got some new Peter Millar stuff in the mail that doesn't have a collar. It's like almost like a t-shirt with like a collar that's it has a collar, but there's no buttons on the collar.
Yeah.
Like a V. It's basically a V-neck with then the collar. I think those are going to be my golf shirts like going forward. I think I might just overhaul everything because they continue to push the envelope.
Absolutely.
You got to go over, folks. Head over to petermillar.com/foreplay. So all this stuff that we're talking about, they got a bunch of our favorite designs on there. They're curated to that link. So you go over to petermillar.com/foreplay. You can check out all of Peter Millar's performance apparel. That is Peter Millar. They're the official outfitter of the USGA. So you can get all kinds of cool US Open stuff on their website as well. They got the old Putter Boy, the US Open logo 2024. Incredibly cool. So go check out that link. That is petermillar.com/foreplay.
Yeah, I've been in Colorado for a long time, man.
Yeah, you live in Colorado now.
Yeah, I'm in a
You're still recording from this
fucking bedroom and shit.
You got a Nerf gun in your hand.
Yeah.
I got a bunch of semis.
Oh yeah, look at that.
I got them all, dude. I got agita, like you wouldn't fucking believe, man. I
Is
can't
that a real
sleep right
thing?
now. What?
I thought agita was like, and I didn't hear about agita until I moved to the East Coast, but I thought
I
that
got
was just
fucking-
like you're like angry. I hear in The Sopranos a lot. They're like, I got
Well,
agita.
I think for me, it's another term for just heartburn.
Okay.
And I just, we're celebrating and we're having party after party. It was a huge graduation party last night, and and 2 nights ago we just got after it, drinking whiskeys, and we're playing all these games. We're playing horse racing. You guys ever play horse racing where it's all the horses are on just this little board, and everyone gets cards, and the first four rolls of the dice, you go around in a circle. The first 4 rolls of the dice, those horses are scratched, and you got to pay the pot if you have one of those cards right out of the deck. And then now, after those first 4 rolls and those first 4 horses out of 12 are scratched, you then go and it's a race. And there's little pegs that once you roll the dice, if it's a 7, you move the 7 up 1, right? But if you roll a scratched horse, you got to pay the pot. You got to pay the pot, and you make the pot whatever you want. 2 chips, 3 chips. You make them worth whatever you want. And the 7 has a lot more pegs to run than the 2, because rolling snake eyes is impossible. So the number 2 can only go 3 spots, and then he's at the finish line and he wins. So everyone's going crazy. We're drinking whiskeys. We're playing it all night, and you start to feel the agita. And you're like, all right, I'm just going to like take it easy the next day. What do you open it up with? Scallion, onion, omelet, and that's starting to rev it up again. Then you have a whiskey, and then you have the whole party, and you're drinking tequila shots, and you have another whiskey, and you're feeling the burn. It's never stopping. You're never putting out the fire. And then last night, I'm like, why am I feeling like this? I took a million different things. I took like prescription medication last night from someone outside out of their thing. I said,
Feeling
I need
the
something
burn,
for this
baby.
agita.
Election year.
For the burn, you got to put this fire out, and nothing worked, bro. I almost went to the hospital last night, and I woke up this morning. I said, it's got to be gone. It's fucking still there. This fire's still burning, and I'm going to the Rockies game. I'm having more whiskeys today. I got to put this fire out. What do you do? What do? Do you just like chew on ice? How do you put this fire out?
I think
So-
that's probably
Yeah. You got to do something different, because I was the same way when I was in Denver. I ate 2 gigantic chicken pot pies at this restaurant that was right near the hotel, and I woke up the next morning each time like, I just don't feel. I think it's Denver. I think it's the altitude. I
Can't
just
breathe.
don't feel.
It's
very
all
good.
affecting me.
breathe.
And
right
Brennan
now.
You're
Jones was
always
like,
out
"Do
of
you
breath."
think it might have been the 2 chicken pot pies that you ate all? Like that's the only thing you had for dinner?" And I was like, "Maybe it is. It's habits. You either need like a big glass of milk, or you got to stop drinking whiskey all day."
I got to just get the level down, like bad. I think I'm due for like an endoscopy or something. I got to check this all out. There's no reason why you should be sleeping with that bubbling right there. Can't be good for you. Can't be good for you.
We had an
course, just
interesting
burning
conversation last night, and my buddy Andrew had I guess whatever, gone to the doctor or read something or whatever. But the fact that he came up with was that if you at age 50 decide to turn things around and live a healthy life, trying to work out and fucking eat properly and sleep properly and the whole deal, that within 6 years, you can reverse the clock like nothing happened. And so his whole thing was he's going to continue to be just like we are, complete kind of degenerates with no real care
Garbage.
whatsoever for what you're putting in there and how much you're working your body until he turns 50. And then from that point forward, he will act responsibly and do all the right stuff. And then that's supposed to flush out everything that occurred. And by the time you're 55, 56, it's like you were doing that the entire time you were an adult. That's kind of what we came up with last night.
Wow. Yeah. It sounds just like an excuse, because I would
Mhm.
use that as well for the next, because I'm 35, for the next 15 years. But the thing is I would rev it up, and then it wouldn't be the same as that study is showing. Like when I turn 50, they would be like, for you to turn this thing around, it's going to take another 50 years. So now you're too late, and it's over. Like, because if you give me an excuse, if you give me an out and I take the out, I am 10 times worse than I would have been if I had just done something normally bad, eaten something bad. I'll eat 5 times as many peanut butter M&Ms as I would have just on like a normal day. Like that's how bad it is. So I don't know if the math is going to add up for your buddy Andrew. I hope it does.
Mhm.
But it also might just be easier to start now. But I'm also not going to do that, so I'm not going to put that on Andrew.
Boys, you want to know what added to the agita?
Mhm.
Obviously, the Rangers.
The New York Rangers.
Yeah,
Mhm.
obviously the Rangers. I got into a fight with my father-in-law last night. Well, it just had to happen. Like it was, we've been together for too many games. I'm with him this whole series, right?
Yeah,
And
that's
like
tough.
I haven't seen a single. So like they won the game, and then like within a second, I go, "Oh, we're not complaining about penalties anymore, are we?" And he goes, "What'd you say?" And like someone tried to close the door. I'm like, "We're not complaining about penalties, are we anymore?" And he's like, "Yeah, can you give me 5 minutes? Can you give me fucking 5 minutes to enjoy this one? I wouldn't do that to you." I'm like, what are we? I'm like, what are we, 5
Don's
years
also
old?
the nicest guy on planet Earth. Like people are probably
I
picturing
had
like
to.
an East Coast like hardened guy, and he's definitely got that in him, I'm sure. But he's also like the nicest dude I've ever met.
Nicest guy on the planet, so passionate about the Rangers, but also like doesn't throw it in your face. But I like think that he's gonna throw it in my face, so I kind of have my I have my
You're on
fucking
the
fists
offensive.
up. Speaking of my father-in-law, all time situation that happened to me that you just can't make up. Like we do this music thing at the Barstool Classic for every
God.
single person
Oh,
that plays in
man.
it. How many players are at the Barstool Classic? We do what,
We have
25
almost
events?
A year, probably.
almost 3,000 throughout the entire year.
3,000 players, right? We have everyone submit their favorite song. We have the whole setup. Taylor Ray, Justin Mancini, Kyle, the whole crew, Hopper, everyone's setting this thing up, right? And it's perfect. It works perfectly. They get up there, we play their music, we announce their name. People go crazy for it. They smoke the drive right down the middle. It's the moment of the classic now. And I've been hyping this up for my family for a long time. Like I had my father-in-law playing in the Denver Barstool Classic at Rain Dance, and I have my cousins and the Big E, Hannah's uncles, and everyone's playing in it. And Don's a huge music guy. He could hear 1 second of a song from 1950 to 2010. And if it's like got any sort of rock beat to it, he's going to tell you who sang it, who produced it, who was on the record, what happened to that band. He's amazing. So he's our music guy, right? So when we told him about this, it was like a huge moment. Like he's going to pick the walk-up song. He's the best. He's the GOAT at that. Like he could pick any song and you'd be like, holy fuck, that's such a great call. Of course he picks like a deep cut Hello Hooray by Alice Cooper, not like Back in Black by AC/DC. It's like this song that you're like, oh, the intro must be fucking awesome. So they come up and they hear me because you can hear the intros from the 18th hole, the 17th hole. We're going crazy on the first hole. So they know we're going up. The family comes up. JJ, the cousin, goes up first. The Big E goes up. He's 80 years old almost. Stripes the ball down the middle. We played Back in Black for him. He's loving it. He's dancing. He does like a little kick, like a Gary Player kick at the end of it after he hits it. And I'm like, this is electric. JJ goes, like his music goes perfectly. And then Don comes up. And I'm like, it's Don, my father-in-law, Don Rowan. And he starts to walk up and the song starts and it's an all-time intro. It's like you're setting up the circus almost, like that. And like he's walking up and you can see, I put this on my Twitter, but like he's like stretching. He's like really feeding into this thing. Like this is his moment, right? And he goes to step up to the ball and the fucking music cuts out. The speaker died. The speaker died during that one moment. And I looked around like, you got to be fucking kidding me. And Trent was there. He witnessed this. There was no solution. Like I was hitting buttons. I'm running around. It was dead. And then he just hit in silence. And it just, the whole moment was ruined.
The silence was 10 times louder than the music. And the music's loud. But as soon as it cut, it was the awkwardness and Frankie trying to figure out what was going on. Just couldn't figure it out. There was no solution, like you said. And yeah, I think Don was like, I told my daughter not to marry this guy. It was so funny. Like he was joking around. It was so, it was just like, and I said to Frankie after, because Frankie was, tomato red in the face. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure the family group chat was like a disaster because like you said, you'd built it up and it's finally happening and the music cut out. And I said to Frankie after, I was like, this is why we keep you around, because only this would happen to Frankie Borelli. It only happens to him. Like 3,000 players playing the Barstool Classic. The music's great. Guys pull their phones out. They send it to their buddies and they're like, the Barstool Classic is so much fun. And the only guy it didn't work for was Frankie's father-in-law. And it will only happen to Frankie Borelli. That's it. If I had done it for my father-in-law, who I don't have, it would have gone off without a hitch. Riggs same way, Danny same way. Something about Frankie Borelli, he's got a little bit of a gray cloud that follows him around, but it makes it so goddamn funny for everybody else.
And the best was he made it to the putting contest, and the putting contest went on forever. It was shot for shot. The whole entire crowd was rooting on Don. And then I'm hearing it from all different angles. They're like, why is he not in G4? Where's his tail? Like, everyone's just giving it to me. It was just a bad day for me out there on the golf course. And then he was feeding into it too, because he was like playing like the character that was mad now at his son-in-law for not playing the music, but no one there knew that I didn't play the music for him. So like he made the putt, and I go to give him a high five, and he goes, "Get the fuck out of here!" And I'm like, "Oh shit!" Now everyone thinks that you just hate me. No one here at the golf course knows that I didn't play the music on the first. You know what I mean? Like no one knew.
The best.
Oh, it was yeah, I was in a pickle. I was in a pickle for sure. But great times, absolutely great times. They've loved it. I mean, they've loved every second of it, and they were so appreciative, and they love like every aspect. That's the best, when you get to show someone something as cool as the Barstool Classic, like the fact that we get to call that our own, and they're like, that was your work, like that's your event. It was the coolest event ever. They're getting home, they're putting the speaker on anything metal to see if it, like the speaker that we give out, they're seeing if it sticks and it magnetizes to something. They're showing the whole family, the whole bag. I'm like, dude, sometimes that's like an afterthought to us, but it's such a big moment for them. It was so cool.
It is. No, I love that. I love that. It is cool because it can feel like work a lot. Occasionally you're traveling around all over the place, but you realize these people that play in the Classic, I mean, it is one of their best days of the year, and it's important, to try to bring it for us to make sure they have a great time. The first tee walk-ups are a massive hit. People are going nuts for that. And then we've got this week, I'm basically doing that version of it here in St. Charles, Missouri. We got Bogey Hills Country Club right across the street from where I grew up. All my brother and a bunch of my friends and family are playing, cousins are playing. So it's going to be quite the scene here in Bogey Hills. And you're right. I mean, it's a good ass time. It's fun to get out there with the people that actually listen to this jargon that we deliver twice a week and see them in action in real life. They step up to that first tee, and a lot of the comments are like, I fucking watch you guys all the time. And oh my God, now the turns have tabled, as people say, and they got to hit the shot in front of us with the music going. So it's a great time. The Classic continues to roll on. If you're going to be watching any of this week's tournament, here is a better pro tip than you'll get from any caddy. Check out DraftKings Sportsbook, an official betting operator of the PGA Tour, and get in on all of the action. It's super easy for first-timers to get started. Try betting on something simple, like just picking a golfer to win. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your player, and place your first bet. It is that simple. Again, I was able to capitalize on the DraftKings Sportsbook this last week. I saw Mr. Scheffler after round one, did not have his best. I said, that man is still the best player on planet Earth. I bet, despite the fact that he's in 70th, 80th, 90th place, whatever he's in, there's a good chance he finishes inside the top 10. Put a wager on it. Bang. That's an easy victory. It was very fun from the first tee shot on Thursday through the final putt on Sunday. DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered with same-game parlays, live betting, odds boosts, and so much more. DraftKings Sportsbook, gentlemen.
Yeah, we've got For The Cut going this week, which we talk about during this podcast, which we've been doing every week. I believe it hit last week, so hop on the train while we're hot. But yeah, they've got everything, and there's also hockey going on. There's NBA going on. It's just more fun, Hashtag DK partner, betting on a game, watching it, just way more fun and way more entertaining.
Yeah, get a little skin in the game, If you're new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers can get a no-sweat bet up to $1,500. Just deposit at least $5, and you'll get a bonus bet back equal to your first bet if it does not hit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use the code FORE, that's code FORE, for new customers to get a no-sweat bet up to $1,500 if your first bet doesn't hit. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours. Harry Higgs. I want to shout out Harry Higgs real quick. He's just a big friend of the program. Back-to-back wins of the Korn Ferry Tour. A guy that's kind of turning his career back around. I went back and looked, and it was November 23rd, 2021. We did one of my favorite podcasts we've ever done. We were down there for TaylorMade Media Day, and we did like an hour and a half with Harry Higgs. And he is obviously a big personality, ripped his shirt off at the Phoenix Open on 16. He's a big boy. He's funny. He's got the funny viral videos that have gone around, but he's also an insanely insightful golf brain. And I remember sitting there with him for an hour and a half, and we shot the shit about life, about golf. He's very introspective. And so to see those comments that he made about Grayson Murray, it wasn't that surprising to me, because having done that show with him, having heard him kind of talk through stuff, he's not necessarily just this kind of boisterous goofball. He's an incredibly critical kind of thinker about golf. He did the whole field goal thing with us, so we've got videos with him too, where he was really talking about how you should create this field goal that you move around on the green based on where you want to hit the ball and where you want to aim the ball based on where the trouble's not, so that a miss technically is in this kind of field goal range, even if your field goal covers the left side of the rough instead of the entire green, because it's a lot easier to get up and down there than missing right and all that kind of stuff. So whole point is, if you're kind of feeling the Harry Higgs stuff right now, we had that phenomenal show with him. So go back and check that one out. But big congratulations to Harry Higgs, back-to-back wins of the Korn Ferry Tour. And his first one was with like a 50-yard hole out for eagle that he had to make to get into a playoff, which is fucking nuts. And he hit this huge like flop shot out of the rough, full swing, barely dribbles in on the last roll. So yeah, that guy's on fire right now, and big congratulations to that man.
Dan, what's his card situation?
I mean, he's locked up for next year. You win twice on the Korn Ferry Tour, and he's got enough points where he'll be in that category next year. But him and that guy Tim Whiting, who I think was part of our coverage last year when we were at NV5.
I think that's right.
Swedish guy. I remember he went to University of San Francisco, which always was random to me. It's not a golf school. Both of them have won twice on the Korn Ferry Tour. If you win 3 times on the Korn Ferry Tour in 1 year, you immediately get bumped to the PGA Tour. So if Harry Higgs or Tim Whiting, or Vieding, I might be saying that wrong, if they win one of the 15 remaining events left on the Korn Ferry season, they immediately get bumped up to the PGA Tour. Another thing to keep on this week, it's the U.S. Women's Open. At Lancaster in Pennsylvania. Nelly Court has won 6 of 7. She's a massive favorite. This is probably the biggest professional women's golf tournament on the planet. It's at Lancaster Country Club, which has had a full redo. So a lot, the golf world never really slows down. We got Alistair in Canada, and we got the U.S. Women's Open, and Nelly, trying to win the first 2 majors of the year.
You froze, Dan.
I said a lot of similarities between her and Scottie at the PGA. Hopefully she doesn't spend any time in a jail cell. It's really tough when you make a joke and then you freeze and you have to tell the joke again.
Do it. Let's do it a third time. We can do it a third time if you want.
Didn't quite have the same pizzazz the first time.
3 wins on the Korn Ferry Tour to get called up is too many, in my opinion. I don't know if they're looking for opinions on that topic, but I think 2 is good. I think they should pull Harry up now. 3 is a lot. How often does that happen? Never.
Last guy to do it was Mito in 2021, and before that, I think it was 2016. So it happens like once every 3 to 5 years. Okay,
I'll be honest, that's a little bit more than I thought. But
yeah, that does feel like a lot. Feels like they should just move him on up at that point. Yeah, U.S. Women's Open. This is as big as it gets for them. Nelly, oh boy, I'm gonna wager on her again to win. 6 out of 7 is outrageous. And then I'm gonna be up in Canada. So Alistair, obviously we talked about it a few weeks ago, finished second in the Myrtle Beach event, which was the biggest event he's probably ever played in, $356,000, and that guarantees him another start on the PGA Tour, which is coming up this week, RBC Canadian Open, just outside of Toronto. I'm flying up there Thursday. So anybody who's listening, I don't know what Alistair's tee times are going to be yet. Hopefully he's in the afternoon Thursday, but if he's not, I'm going to miss the Thursday round, but I'll be there all day Friday. And then obviously if he makes the cut, which we're rooting for, Saturday, Sunday, I got a bunch of t-shirts made up. Al's Army, we've done this before for Renner. We did that, and then we did it for Keegan Bradley, the People's Golfers, over the years. I'm going to be up at the Canadian Open handing out t-shirts. We're going to be following Alistair around. I'm very jacked up for that. We love Canada. Every time we kind of put out new merchandise, people up there are always like, how do we get merch to be able to ship to Canada? We've had a lot of, when we did the Barstool Classic there, I think we did it back-to-back years. That thing sells out like you wouldn't believe. Those people are very excited. They're in everything. Chiclets is huge up there. So the Barstool presence in Canada is high. They've been trying to, I was going back since like 2019, been emailing with a bunch of people that run the RBC Canadian Open, trying to get us up there and hype up the entire event. So I'm excited. I love Toronto. We had a great time at Toronto a few years ago when we went for the Barstool Classic. And now I'm going to be up there, like I said, all weekend long. So excited to see people out there at the Canadian Open. Never been to the tournament before. And hopefully Alistair plays phenomenal. I'm rooting for him. I know he was a little bit burned out after back-to-back weeks when he had the Myrtle Beach finish, emotional, the whole deal. So he took last week off. He's going out, be rocking that Barstool golf gear in a PGA Tour event for the second time this year, which is fucking awesome. So it's a huge event. He's born in Canada, and now he's playing in the Canadian Open on the PGA Tour. I think the purse is over twice as big as it was for the Myrtle Beach Classic. So a huge week for our boy, and hopefully he plays fucking great. Can't hear you, Dan.
I got there he goes. I got to figure this Agita thing out because I got to chew on some ice or something, man. I got to put out this fire now.
Take drink some Pepto-Bismol.
I'm taking them all, dude. I took them all. I was on everything last night. Cocktail of them.
Stop. The whiskey is going to hurt you, and the tequila is going to hurt you.
Don't do those warm tequilas. Ooh.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hey,
Look at that.
We back.
And then he froze.
Yeah, he
Can you hear
froze.
me?
Guys, a lot of technical issues.
Hopefully,
you know?
hopefully Nelly Corda doesn't go to. Is that
Last
what it
thing
was?
I'm going to say. Last thing I'm going to say, and then I'll go. We're in a scenario now where Alistair, like, points matter because he has a solo second on the PGA Tour. So if he finishes in the top, 20 or 15 or something, like, you start to get to where he could get enough points to get like non-member points lists. Like another top 20 this week in a non-elevated event could do really, really big things for his career.
Okay.
Come on. Yeah, because
Go
I don't
Alistair,
know.
go.
I really don't. Yeah, that like all the stuff's so fucking confusing to me. It's like, what does he need to do? And so, yeah, if that's is that pretty much what it is? Like a top 20 would get him on the non-member points list, and that non-member points list it gets him what? Like, because he doesn't get any Corn Ferry Tour points for this stuff, which is fucking bullshit, and he doesn't get any FedEx Cup points, which is bullshit. So what does he get?
So there's a shadow list called the non-member points list.
Shadow
where
list.
You don't actually
Doesn't
get the points, but you like theoretically get the points. And if you get enough points through that fake list, it used to be 125. I actually don't know what the rules are anymore because now it's like top 70. I think it's 125 still though. If he gets enough points on this sort of shadow list that he beats the number 125 guy, then he gets status through like as if he finished in the top 125.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Okay. We need
So,
fucking
like,
points.
You need points. You need like another top 10 now would get him into another event, so that'd be huge. But even like a 12th or a 14th place finish, that plus the solo second that he has, might get him in the top 200 category, might get him some like spot and opposite field events next year. Points are your friend right now. Even though they're not showing up on his page, they are keeping track of them.
Okay. Shadow list. Our boy we got to get him off that shadow list and onto a real list. That's kind of the goal this week, it feels like.
He has to win to be eligible for the FedEx Cup playoffs. So that's the only way he would get on the actual
Let's
list.
just win this fucking thing, man. Only one guy beat him
If
last
he just
time.
wins, that takes care of literally everything.
The no Corn Ferry Tour events points is the biggest bullshit thing ever because
Crazy.
you are on this tour and you're playing well enough to get into the PGA Tour. How does that not affect your status from the tour you just left? Like, why? He's actually at a disadvantage. Oh man, he's actually at a disadvantage from that tour by playing in the premier one.
Right. No, there's a, unless like if he doesn't play particularly well in this PGA Tour start or another PGA Tour start that he gets, then there's a very clear argument of like, oh, he should have just played on the Corn Ferry Tour and played well because then he would have acquired enough points to potentially finish in the top 30, which would get him his PGA Tour card for next year. Versus like, if he goes out there and plays like solid this week, nothing crazy. Yeah, he gets a decent paycheck, but then he could have missed a few weeks. Like last week, he literally didn't play on the Corn Ferry Tour because he needed to rest up and gear up and get ready for going to Canada and the whole deal. So that's a couple different weeks where he misses out on points where it's like, dude, it actually could have been better for you to play, not because of logic, but because the way that they do it with the points and all that. So hopefully it doesn't fucking come to that, but there's a very real possibility where it's like, oh shit, he kind of screwed himself by not playing on the Corn Ferry Tour a few events because he played on the PGA Tour. So it's already an insane paycheck. It's 3x what he's made in his entire career, what happened down in Myrtle Beach, but he's still got to play well. It's like a NHL team trying to make the playoffs at the end of the season. It's like every game is a playoff game. Every event is the biggest event of his life at this point, trying to get enough points to get to a point where he's got status or he's got a good shot to get tour status and all that. So it's a huge week for our guy. It's a big fucking event. There's a bunch of huge names there. Rory McIlroy's playing. He's won the event a few different times. Nick Taylor had the crazy finish last year. Tommy Fleetwood lost in the playoff there. He's playing. So there's a bunch of big names playing. It's a big event. It's a national open. And here comes our guy coming off a T2 finish last time he played on the PGA Tour. So wild opportunity for him. I'm pumped to be up there and rooting him on. And like I said, if you're going to be at the tournament, come follow Alistair. I'm going to hand out a bunch of T-shirts, and we're just going to get out there, probably have a few cocktails, a few Canadian beverages, and enjoy ourselves. So I'm pumped to get up to Toronto area, and let's go, Alistair.
Piece of advice to Alistair would be, if you get paired with Rory McIlroy, do not spin around in the press conference. Don't be like,
serious?
You serious? Don't Michael block yourself. Just, forge ahead and be like, I'm meant to be here.
Yeah, avoid that. Hopefully, it does get paired with Roy McIlroy. That would be cool as fuck if he does. I don't know who that was going to get paired with, but that's kind of a big moment. All right, a couple from the galleries, which is brought to you by our great friends at Fireball Whiskey. We love Fireball. We're obsessed with Fireball. It's back in a big way. It's just a part of everything that we do. Our videos that came out, the video that you guys put out last week with the Barstool Sports guys, one of the best videos I've ever seen. Fireball was just an intimate part of that entire video. We've been doing Fireball shots all weekend here in St. Louis, back home, with kind of my day ones. And it's just that iconic cinnamon whiskey, those 50 milliliter shooters that have just taken over. You put them in your golf bag, you grab them from the beverage cart, whatever it is. They're easy. You knock them back, and it improves your entire experience out there.
Yeah, I've been having so many of them, I can't even talk right now. So, we played that horse racing game. Whoever won had to do a Fireball shot. And it could just get, it's a fun time. Anything of excess, of course, is going to make you feel a little something, but I'm not going to stop. I'm certainly not going to stop. I'm getting right back on there, and I'm going to be grinding away. It's a fun time. It's a fun time to be a Fireball person because they're just, man, quality nights with Fireball.
Saturday, I was doing some Fireball shots. My Manchester United shocked the world and beat Manchester City in the final of the FA Cup, and we were getting after it from an early hour. Fireball was a big part of my day on Saturday.
It's a great time to do it, man. That's a great time to do it.
It was great.
Celebration.
There's nothing like, I basically just shifted the hours. I told my friends, I was like, I'm not going to make it past 6 p.m. tonight. So basically the AM hours are my PM hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So at 10:30, I was drinking and they're all like, what are you talking? I'm like, well, it's 10:30 at night. What do you mean? It's like the peak of the night. Like we're just getting started here.
That's right.
Yeah.
Shift.
I would say
shift 12 hours.
I'm mere hours away from doing some Fireball shots, and I'm very excited about it. So let's get to a little from the gallery, brought to you by Fireball Whiskey. I saw this kind of going viral, so there's no name attached to this, but it's a hole-in-one that a guy got on a par 4 that was moved up because it's a temporary tee. I think they're doing some work on the tee box. So instead of being a normal length par 4, it was a 180-yard hole from kind of the fairway. They had built a temporary tee box. Guy hoops it, makes an ace on a 180-yard temporary tee. That's usually par 4 now. It's a par whatever. Does that count as a hole-in-one?
That's a good one. That's
yes.
of the hole-in-one questions we've had, this is the best one.
I think it's yes, but a clear asterisk. But it's like it's not a hole-in-one on a par 4, but it's definitely a hole-in-one.
Why? Like, it's just how the course set it up that day. Why is it not a hole-in-one on a par 4?
Because it's not. So he can tell people that he aced a par 4 and not add any context. And
I mean,
and
I don't think he has to. Like it, he played that day. The course decided that day that hole was 180 yards. They didn't change the par. It's just similar to, they put the pin on the right side instead of the left side. They made a course decision that day. He played a USGA golf course.
Well, did they make it a par 3? Was there a sign that's like, this is a par? I guess they probably.
I don't know that part. I don't know. Imagine the temporary tee, like they're doing construction on a new tee box or something, so they had him teeing off from 180 yards instead of the normal tee. But to Frankie's point, the man was presented with a golf hole. He was asked to tee off from a certain spot. He's told where the hole in the ground was, and he played that challenge in one shot. So that's just
you're
right.
I agree. The discussion really lays on, do you say it was a par 3 or a par 4? But I agree, it's a hole-in-one for sure. I
think you put whatever's on the card. I mean,
yep.
Unless they're handing out new cards that day, there's nothing else. You're asking this guy, this hole-in-one maker, to do too much now.
This hole-in-one boss.
Like, you're asking him to do too much. You're asking him to, like, create the whole, like, create the par now.
We've talked about this before. Par is a construct. I don't give a fuck whether it's a par 3 or a par 4. If it goes in the hole-in-one, and that's where the tees were, and you're playing a golf course, you're playing 18 holes, whatever, that's a hole-in-one. Guys can argue until they're blue in the face about 3 or 4, but it's a 1.
Dude, remember when they did this on the PGA Tour? Was it in like Japan for the Zozo or something, where they got so much rain that they like couldn't tee off, and they moved the tee box to the middle of the fairway on a par 4, and everybody was making eagle, and people were like, "This is ridiculous!" Like, the stats are being changed for their annual year of like, they're all just making eagles or birdies at worst on this fucking par 4 because they moved it to like a 170-yard par 3. They legit did this on the PGA Tour. But I'm with you, Trent. The guy writes down a 1. He made a hole-in-one on that hole. If it's the 7th hole at whatever the fuck country club, he can claim forever. Like, oh yeah, I played that hole. I made a 1 on that hole. So whatever the par you want to call it, the man is in for a hole-in-one, and that's a legitimate hole-in-one. So if he's ever asked, have you ever made a hole in one? His answer is, yep, I sure did.
Yeah.
This happened to me. I played Deepdale and I shot like a 75, and it was like the greatest day of my life. And one of the holes was getting construction on the tee box. So it was like a 270 yard par 4. And we all like ripped driver up there, and I hit the green and won and made like a tap in birdie. And I remember feeling like a little weird about it, but I'm like, I don't know. This is just what you like. Yeah, usually it's 370, but like it was 270 today. You know, I don't know. I don't fucking care.
This is what it is.
And it was a birdie.
Yeah.
It was a huge birdie coming in. It was like the 16th hole. I was like, that was unbelievable. Can we do that
I'm just
every
playing.
hole? Like, let's move everything up 100. And then
I'm
that
just
goes
playing
to the
what they
video that's coming
presented
out
to
today
me.
at 1 o'clock. Playing from the forward tees.
That's right. Go check it out. All right. Greg says, if you're invited to play an Unreal golf course, Unreal track, what is the farthest you would drive for a day trip to play that golf course?
See, I'm weird about this because I really don't mind being alone in the car. So like I've done a few where like I could stay over and it's 2 hours away, but I would rather because when you travel as much as we do, I think like nights at home are precious.
Yeah.
So I would probably if it's like if I got invited to play like Cyprus from LA, which is probably like a 5 or 6 hour drive, I think I would ship it. I think I would just
Wow.
make it the whole day.
Wow. Really?
What do you think?
You know, I was thinking in my head,
Depending on the crew and everything, you know.
I had done the like from if you're living in Manhattan and you drive out to the Hamptons area and play like Friars Head or Shinnecock or whatever, which are obviously world class courses. Shinnecock's one of the best courses on the planet. Friars Head's probably ranked in the top 20 or 30 in the country. I've done that trip before, and depending on traffic and all that, that's a good like 2.5 to 3.5 hours kind of each way, and that was a no-brainer. So like to me, I don't know. Like once you get up to 4, that's 8 hours of driving in one day to play around a golf. I don't know that I would get up to 4, but I do know like I would never say no to that trip from New York, and I wouldn't think during that trip to like stay out there. It would be. I mean, not that I wouldn't think of it, but I would happily do it in the middle of the fucking week. If it was like a Thursday, we didn't have anything going on work wise, and I was living in New York, I would easily do that 6 hour round trip or whatever it is to play either one of those courses. I don't know. Once I get to 4 hours each way. You finish a round of golf, you got 4 hours to get home. That's kind of dicey.
Yeah. It's tough because like golf's amazing and playing amazing places is amazing. But once you're out there, it's just trying to get the ball in the hole. And if it's not going your way, you're going to be pretty pissed driving home 4 hours that you could have done that 30 minutes away from your house or 10. You know what I mean? You could have done that same thing, not getting that ball in that hole, like way closer. That drive home sucks. The drive there is great. I feel this way when like Francis will invite us to Bayonne or something. And it's like, oh my God, what an incredible invitation. And then you think like, that's the whole day like that. There's nothing else happening that whole day except for that round of golf. Like it's 2 hours there, 4 hours back. I mean, through the Long Island traffic. And it's like, holy shit. I mean, yeah, maybe we're taking a boat. I'm getting seasick. It's just a lot.
If you're getting on a boat, it's a full day.
Yeah. But then again, like I played Fishers. I got on a boat. I played Fishers Island. It was like the greatest golf experience of my entire life. Took the whole day. Playing Bayonne has been some of the greatest golf experiences of my whole life. So it just depends on how you're feeling that day. If you're dedicating the entire day to golf, I'll go wherever I have to go.
New York is very specific, especially if you live in the city, because you're going to have to travel no matter where you're going to play.
Yeah.
So if you're being asked to like go play somewhere really nice, it's not that different than if you're going to play somewhere that isn't as nice. So you might as well go play the nice place.
That's a great point because I think like when I'm in Pinehurst a lot, you know, I got friends that live in Raleigh or Charlotte, and you'll get invited to come up and play a really cool course. But I'm like, okay, I'm going to drive 2 hours each way to Charlotte and back, and I'm going to drive past 10 courses that are in the top 100 in the country. Like I'm not fucking doing that. I'm actually just going to like drive 4 minutes down the street and play Mid Pines twice, and it's going to be awesome. So like, you know, so that's a little bit of it where you're right, Trent. It's like, dude, I'm already committing to an hour and 15 minutes guaranteed each way. If I'm living in New York, might as well drive another fucking hour and go play somewhere really sick.
100%.
Oh, can't hear you again, Dan. Red. You got red.
It's red. It's red. It's red. You don't have to leave. It's just red. You just got to figure it out. You have to leave.
There you go. Nope. There.
Just one tap. What are you, 90?
Yeah. Wow, it's a tap.
And
Okay.
the
tap saved us. I think it's more just a commentary on how miserable
consistent with this. You know,
like,
he's
my daily life, how miserable my daily life is that I like love being in a car alone because I can't be on my phone and just like death scrolling. And I love so 6 hours in a car to me sounds like fucking great. It's like a vacation.
Do you have a like a relationship with your phone when you are driving? Are you on it a pretty good amount, or do you do like nothing?
No, I do a lot of phone calls and a lot of podcasts. So it's nice to kind of zone out and catch up with people.
I try to taper it down in terms of the being on your phone when you drive. Like obviously it's incredibly dangerous, but man, when you're on the road for a while, it's not that hard to get sucked into. Like every 20 minutes or so, you kind of just like hold it up there and look and like fire off a couple texts, and then you start to realize like, holy fuck, this is crazy dangerous. But
you're just like you basically drive 5 football fields without looking up. Like that's if you look down for a second, you just went 5 football fields without looking, and you are the most dangerous person on the road. And listen, I'm guilty of it too. I'm not here to preach and be like, oh, I've never used my phone in the car. When you really think about how dangerous it is, bro, you are a missile out there. You're a missile out there when you're paying attention. Being in a car is so dangerous when you're driving, and then you're just looking down. And if you're going 70 miles per hour, you look down for 2 seconds, you have traveled so far, and you have now become a million times more dangerous than you were before. And again, I'm not preaching. I use my phone in the car. I'm bad at it. But I'm just saying, like, it's fucking dangerous.
Horrifying.
You're just a torpedo, like a 70 to 80 mile an hour torpedo going down the road, completely blind when you do that. And it's, like there's some, you've been in Uber occasionally too, and there's people that like they just can't help it, and they don't even do it where it's like they're close to they're like this, just like looking down, and you're like, dude, we're gonna fucking die out here. Everyone's gonna die. What are we doing?
So dangerous to the point that I can't believe that phones just don't get disabled when you get in the car. Like it's that dangerous. But that's just is what it is. Phone calls are big. Phone calls will keep you away from your phone. If you call somebody that you haven't talked to in a while, friend back home, whatever, you can talk to them for an hour and a half, and you're just talking and you're looking forward. That's the safest way to do it.
Yeah.
When I had COVID the first time and I had to drive back from Detroit when I was with Dave, and like I was afraid that I was going to give everyone, we had a huge like gambling thing at the Detroit casino, and everyone was there, and it was like people were nervous about getting COVID, and I was there with 104 fever, and I'm like, I got to get out of here because I'm hot right now. Like I told Dave, he's like, we got to go to pizza reviews. I'm like, all right. Like, so I was like, I get back, I'm like, bro, I'm done. So he's like, all right, just get in a car and drive home. There was no way to get to an airport. They were checking temps. So I I just drove home, and I didn't want to stop. That's a long drive, right? That's like 15 hours or so. So I remember that was Lurch called me about something and just stayed on the phone with me for like 3.5 hours. I mean, there were times where we just stayed like silent, and he was just like, you there? Like he was just the nicest guy ever for doing that. And then like, I talked to Hannah, I talked to like my sister-in-law, I talked to my mom, my dad. It was just like, you had to keep going with like 2-hour intervals just to check in on people, or else I probably would have looked at my phone for an hour. Like how are you supposed to stay sane?
Right.
How do tractor trailer drivers do, these 18-wheelers where they're driving across the country? They have to have some sort of like, I don't know what they have.
I don't know. Phone calls are big.
What are you getting Pops for Father's Day? Did you know G4 is dropping a collection especially for him? Their Father's Day capsule has everything he could ever want for life on or off the golf course, whether he's traditional, modern, or just wants something fun and new for his look. G4 has got it. I have to say, this past Saturday, my good friend Mike came up to me, pointed down at his feet, and he said, this is the best money I've ever spent. And I said, now what's going on there? It was a style of the new G4 Galavan Tours that I had not seen before. He said, these are the most comfortable, these are the coolest looking golf shoes that I've ever had. They've got the Galavanter, the traditional one from G4, is now available in spikeless and soft spike options because G4 likes to accommodate pretty much everybody, especially family. G4.com/foreplay is where you should go, and you can get a discount for 10% off of your first order. The MG4 X2 cross trainers, the MG4 Pluses, the Galavanters, the Galavan Tours. They've even got a new model coming out soon. So just remember, it's part of everyday life. Trent says it all the time. He says the nicest thing in the world is I don't have to think about what golf shoe I'm ever going to wear because I've got a couple different pairs of G4s, and they're perfect. They're better than any shoe I've ever had. So do yourself a favor. What are you getting Pops for Father's Day? Jump over to G4.com/foreplay. Get yourself 10% off your first order. Find something for him, for family, for loved ones, for yourself, for everybody. That's G4.com/foreplay. for 10% off your first order.
I meant to say this is why I had so much agita. Look at this fucking thing they had at this party yesterday.
What?
They had a
What is it?
fucking semi-truck. They had a fucking semi-truck yesterday of In-N-Out. I've never seen something like this in my entire life. So much so that they opened up the fucking sides of the huge semi-truck, and there was like a soda fountain. There was a station where like you could sit off of it. They basically bring you a In-N-Out store to the front of your house.
Who is they? Who did this?
At this party I was at yesterday.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
That's big time.
10 workers.
Jesus.
They clean the tires with like oil, like, so that everything looks shiny when you walk up to it. Just truly an incredible experience. Just as many double doubles as you want. Just walk up. And then they had a tablet, and they would give you a receipt like with your number. Like it was like you were at the store. This isn't someone's driveway. So
Wow.
In-N-Out knows what the fuck they're doing, man. That's something. And then we all watched them. They live in a little cul-de-sac type thing, and we had to watch this guy turn around in it. And the whole party, 200 people came out to watch this. This guy was like 20 years old driving this
Nightmare.
thing. And he did it. He fucking didn't hit a single car. The technology on this semi truck, like I think they may have had tires that go sideways because the back was just moving with them. It was wild. And you had like all the older dads like out there just like filming them, like, I don't think he's gonna make it. Oh, look at him. He's fucking turning the fucking, and they're going crazy. Oh my God, he's going to fucking make it. He's cutting it. And then when they did it, everyone fucking clapped. It was unbelievable, dude.
I miss those days of graduation
dudes
parties
like
where
more than that.
you would hit like 5 graduation parties in a day and they'd all have different food. That was the best.
Dude, I said that yesterday. A lot of these cool kids, a lot of TikTok hair too, you know? A lot of TikTokers out here.
Bro, I got a nephew with TikTok hair. I can't believe
TikTok hair, just, it's all right here. And they're playing basketball and they're just fucking flopping it at you. And you're like, what's going on? And you're just like, wow. Throw
Getting
some
whipped
gel
in
in
the
that
face
thing.
by TikTok
It's
hair.
a little puffy. It's like, it's just fucking, you know?
Yeah.
If they look the wrong way, they'll get you.
Mhm.
And just party after party, just living their best life, talking about what colleges they're going to go to. No
Yep.
care in the world, man.
None.
Just graduated high school. Like all that bullshit's over. Oh, God. Nice. Real nice spot to be in.
That time between high school and when you start school is nothing matters. Not a single
Nothing.
thing.
And even if there's nothing matters so much that you're dumb and you're 18 and you realize nothing matters. Looking back on it now, literally nothing matters. 'Cause
Not
now,
a single. Even if you have a girlfriend, like doesn't matter.
doesn't matter.
Nothing.
Now,
doesn't
now
matter.
we're in our 30s and I wake up and I'm like, I have anxiety because I'm just like, oh, I got to do all this stuff. I got to make sure my apartment is this way. It's like when you're 18, you are just like, I don't give a fuck about anything. Nothing matters. It's the best.
Nothing
we sound really
matters.
old right now, but it's true.
All right. Last thing we got to do, boys. For the cut, RBC Canadian Open this week. We talked about the event a good amount. Our boy Alistair's going to be up there rooting him on, but we got to make some picks for the cut. I believe hit last week. Is that right?
It did
I'm not
hit.
sure.
Yep, it did.
Plus, what was it? 325 or something like that?
Yeah, I think it was 326.
Come on.
Wow.
Come on.
I'm taking Sam Burns.
Okay.
Sam Burns, my guy.
Alistair Docherty. Unless you're going to take him, Riggs.
No.
Okay, Alistair
him on.
Docherty. I felt terrible that none of us took him in Myrtle, and then he almost won the tournament. So I'm taking Alistair.
Gary Woodland.
Wow.
Okay.
I'm going with Doug Gim. Doug Gim is
Nice.
7,500 to win the tournament. He's made 3 of his last 4 cuts, so I'm going with Doug Gim, front of the program.
Doug Gim, I was on the DraftKings Sportsbook on the night before the PGA Championship, and his name just stuck out to me for I think it was top 10 first round, like to be in the top 10 after the first round. And I was like, something about Doug Gim. I know he was like working a little bit with Dr. Brett McCabe. I looked at his previous stats, his previous finishes, and he had like a cut in there. So I just I went off of it. And then it's like, this is how I think sometimes the whole world is like revolving around like me. And like this, like you guys are all just like, you know, you guys are just like the non players or whatever.
Mm-hmm,
Like Doug Gim was leading the golf tournament at one point, like on Thursday. It was like, he was 6 under through 9 holes. And I'm like, Doug Gim, are you fucking kidding me? When the fuck has that guy got off to that hot of a start in a major? Like, I couldn't believe it. And the payout was insane if you just ripped it. I couldn't believe it. So yeah, I hope he makes the cut.
Me too. All right. Anybody have anything else before we depart? We'll obviously be back on Thursday for the second show of the week.
No, yeah. I got it. These kids want to take this room. They've been knocking on it. They got all their guns in here and shit. They got all their Nerf guns. They've been
You're in the armory.
Quietly knocking.
Yeah, you are.
Oh, I'm just in their space. I'm in their space.
All right.
What do they think of you? What do they think of you? Do they think you're like? What do they think you're doing in here? Do they know?
It's hard
that
to.
You're a golf podcaster.
They have like a little gaming setup in here, so they kind of know the whole streaming world. They probably know it more than we do. So I mean, I think they know something with a microphone. I'm talking. Yeah, I think they kind of get it. But not to the point. It's like, yeah, we like do fireball shots and hit golf shots for. I don't think they understand all that stuff. No,
they're like, oh, Frankie's doing his little podcast. Ooh,
yeah, they're probably like. I mean, I got my mother-in-law brought me over to some TikToker, and just pimply hair all over the place, just a fucking 16-year-old. And she's like, hey, like you golf, right? I guess she had a conversation with his mom. He's like, yeah. And she's like, do you know fore-play? He's like, he looked at me and she goes, nope. And I was just, so now and then they left us and I'm just staring at him. I'm like, yeah. So you play golf? He's like, yeah. I'm like, all right. He's like, yeah, I'm going to University of Arizona. I was like, all right, that'll be cool. Tucson, some good golf there. He's like, yep. I was like, so you watch YouTube golf? He goes, yeah, from time to time. I was like, let me guess, you watch Good? He's like, yeah, I love those guys. I was just like, okay. I was like, did you see the collaboration we did with them? He's like, no. Just nothing. Got nothing out of him.
It's tough.
I was like, I'll check you guys out, though. All right. And he just nervously sipped on a cherry Coke and walked away. Just those kids are fucking intimidating, man.
Stressful. That's stressful.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Wow. All right.
He knew Dave Portnoy, though. He asked me where he was. I said,
all right.
Did you think he was going to come to this graduation party in Denver? I actually said that. I got so pissed
and
off.
He's like, well, I'm definitely not watching those golf videos.
At the end of that fucking conversation, I was like, do you fucking think he's going to be here? You fucking asshole. Get the hell out of here. No, I didn't
hated this kid, man. You hated this kid.
No. He's a good kid. He goes, where's Dave at today? He's like, I don't know, dude. It's Sunday. No, he's not here. Know that for sure. And he ain't coming here. He's from fucking Miss Beaches, man. He's not coming
pulled
here.
Up right then, though. What a moment that would have been.
just a crowd erupts. Like, who's that? It's fucking Dave. Like, holy shit.
In those moments, I do, because I get asked that a good amount, not as much as you do, but I get asked that too. I just want him to appear somehow. Just he's here, there he is,
or just lie to someone and just be like, he's coming. He's actually coming in an hour.
Yeah,
they'll be like, holy shit! All right,
I got some pizza places in mind.
Yeah, right.
All right.
I got to get out of this room.
All right. Thanks everybody for listening.
Alistair.
Go Alistair. See you in Canada. Hit it hard.
Today, 1:00, YouTube and Rumble. Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.